The moon ceremony was supposed to be magical. I sat beneath crystal chandeliers dripping with silver light, surrounded by wolves from 6 different packs, and yet I'd never felt more painfully, humiliatingly alone. Sparkling gowns swished around me, laughter chimed like bells, and everywhere I turned, I saw couples holding hands, gazing at each other with starry eyes. Wolves who had shifted at 15, the normal age. Wolves whose mates were revealed before they even finished high school. Wolves whose futures were certain and blessed. Not wolves like me. Not wolfless Alice. The empty chair beside mine was proof of that. Unclaimed, untouched, mocked. I smoothed the fabric of my pale blue gown, fingers brushing over the embroidery my brother Finn had added last week. Silvery threads shaped like crescent moons ran along the hem, delicate, intentional. Finn had stitched them by hand because I couldn't afford a dress fancy enough for tonight. He'd stayed up until dawn. He always tried to make me feel special, which only made the humiliation tonight sting more. That chair is still empty. The voice dripped with sugar and venom. Celine, of course. Celine Briarwood, future Luna of our pack, heir to everything that mattered. She walked like the world bowed to her and spoke like her words were gold coins tossed to peasants. She leaned against the table, gown shimmering like molten gold. Her blonde hair cascaded down her back in gentle waves, framing crystal blue eyes sharpened by malice. She tapped the empty chair beside me with one perfectly manicured finger. So tragic, she sighed dramatically, as if narrating a romance disaster on television. Alice, darling, maybe the moon goddess sent your mate to the wrong ceremony. Or the wrong universe. Her entourage of friends erupted in laughter. I kept my face blank, fingernails digging into my palm. If I reacted, if I broke, Celine would drink those tears like champagne. The moon ceremony had a tradition. Every unmated wolf sat in a pair of 2 chairs, or, if they were already certain who their mate was, together by choice. My single, lonely chair meant one thing. No mate. No wolf connected to mine. No future. I wasn't sure which humiliation hurt more. Celine leaned in closer. Or maybe you're just mateless, because no wolf wants to bond with someone who can't even shift. A few wolves at the table gasped, but most laughed, soft, vicious snickers. My chest tightened. I forced myself to breathe evenly through the sting of shame. I had expected the whispers. I had even prepared for the stares. But the public humiliation hit differently. They all knew I hadn't shifted. Every wolf in the hall had shifted by 15. I was 19. 19, ND my wolf, Laurel, never emerged. Some people whispered that the moon goddess had forgotten me. Others whispered worse. That I was cursed. That I was broken. That I had no wolf at all. Celine placed one elegant hand on my empty chair again, as if the wood itself were hilarious. Seriously though, why would your mate show up? Even the goddess doesn't want to waste a bond on what? My voice was stronger than I felt. Celine blinked, surprised. Wolves rarely confronted her. She was born powerful, gifted, and respected. I was born wrong. Careful, Celine. I tilted my head. Someone might think you're overcompensating. Her smile snapped. There it was. A crack. A ripple of amusement passed through the nearest table. Even Finn, sitting with the ranked wolves, looked like he was holding in a laugh. Celine's eyes flashed with heat. You're lucky your brother is beta training. Otherwise, you'd be scrubbing floors, not sitting with future Lunas and Alphas. Thanks for the career advice, I said sweetly. Anything else you want to share? Skincare routine? Favorite method of soul sucking? Finn choked on his drink from across the room. Celine's spine stiffened, her eyes promising retaliation, when suddenly a soft trumpet played from the balcony above. A voice boomed across the grand hall. Presenting, His Majesty, Alpha King Kaelan Lucius Vale of the Crescent Throne. Every wolf in the room froze. All laughter ceased. Every chair scraped back as people stood. Heat rushed through the room followed by a wave of raw dominance. The air seemed to vibrate, pressure heavy enough that weaker wolves fell to their knees without being commanded to. My heart thundered. The Alpha King, the ruler of all packs. Most wolves lived their lives without ever seeing him in person. Kings didn't attend ceremonies unless it was for a political alliance, or because someone extremely important had a mate bond. But why would a king come here? To this small ceremony? The massive double doors at the end of the hall opened, and he entered. Alpha King Kaelan walked with a presence that devoured the room. Tall, broad-shouldered, clad in a black suit that fit like it was tailored from shadows themselves. His crown glinted black iron and moonstone, resting against dark, windswept hair. But it was his eyes that froze the world. Silver, not gray, not pale, liquid silver, sharp and unyielding like steel drawn under moonlight. My stomach twisted into knots. He radiated quiet, lethal power. Not showy, not loud, just undeniable. Some wolves trembled, others cowered. Celine practically vibrated with anticipation, her eyes widening greedily. She smoothed her hair and pushed her chest forward. Of course, to her, every male was a stage. And a king was the biggest stage of all. He descended the marble steps slowly, as if he had all the time in the world. The air shifted the closer he came, electrifying the very oxygen in my lungs. Finn bowed his head, expression tight but respectful. Every wolf stared, except me. I couldn't bow. I couldn't move. My heart wasn't beating, it was clawing. Kaelan's eyes swept across the hall. Wolves held their breath under that stare, terrified of attracting attention. He looked past Celine, past the ranked wolves, past the dignitaries. Then, he stopped. His eyes locked on me. My breath hitched. Celine noticed and stepped directly into his line of sight, a practiced seductive smile curling across her lips. Your Majesty, she said smoothly, dropping into a graceful bow. We are honored by your. Kaelan walked right past her. Didn't even look at her. Her smile froze mid-performance. He didn't slow down, didn't turn, didn't acknowledge her at all. He walked straight toward me. My heart stalled as every wolf turned to stare. Celine sputtered. What? Kaelan reached my table, stopped at the empty chair beside me. Time stretched into silence. He placed a hand on the back of the chair. Slow, deliberate. Is someone sitting here? His voice wasn't loud, yet it rippled through the hall like thunder caught under silk. I tried to speak. Nothing came out. Celine snapped out of her shock. Why, Your Majesty, that seat is. Kaelan finally looked at her. Not kindly. His gaze was cold enough to frost over glass. Was I speaking to you? Celine paled, her lips parting in stunned horror. Gasps rippled through the ballroom. I found my voice. The seat is empty. A muscle in his jaw loosened. He pulled out the chair. And he sat beside me. The hall erupted in whispers. Finn stood half out of his seat, jaw unhinged, eyes huge. The elders stared at me as if I'd grown wings or burst into flames. Celine looked like she might scream. Kaelan leaned in, the scent of pine, winter air, and something darker brushed against me. It made my pulse race, my wolf stirred faintly, as if trying to rise through fog. His voice dropped low. I thought I'd be late, he murmured. But the chair was still empty. I blinked, stunned. Why are you sitting here? His eyes locked on mine with unsettling certainty. Because it's my place. My pulse hammered. My place, beside you. Shock detonated through me. What? I whispered. He turned his body slightly toward me. When I entered the hall, I felt a pull. A thread. Fate tugging tight. His fingers brushed mine under the table. A spark, literal, electric, raced up my arm. My breath stuttered. That, he said quietly, only happens when a wolf finds his mate. My heart stopped. No. I shook my head. No, that's no. Possible. It is. You don't even know me. I've searched for you for 3 years. My world tilted. 3 years? Kaelan lowered his voice so only I could hear. I felt your wolf the night she first stirred. A memory slammed into me. 3 years ago, at 16, the night of the blood moon. I'd woken screaming, not from pain, but from pressure. A presence. A voice that wasn't mine. Laurel, my wolf. She spoke only once. We are not alone. And then went silent. Kaelan watched me, silver gaze softening. I've followed that echo across territories. Across continents. That doesn't make sense, I whispered. I haven't shifted. My wolf barely, I know. I felt her. Weak, muted, but there. He leaned closer. You're not broken, Alice. The words hit deep, a direct strike to every wound I carried. He continued, your wolf is powerful. Dormant, yes. But power like that takes time to wake. Celine suddenly snapped, voice shrill with disbelief. This is insane. She can't be your mate. She can't even shift. Kaelan turned his head slowly, expression murderous. You will not speak of my mate again. His voice boomed with alpha authority. Wolves flinched. Selene staggered backward, face pale. Kaelan took my hand. Every muscle in my body froze. Alice, he murmured, searching my face. Look at me. I did. Slowly. His eyes weren't cold anymore. They looked like molten moonlight, full of something I never expected directed at me, reverence. I found you, Kaelan whispered. After years of searching, the moon goddess led me here. But he squeezed my hand gently. I don't care that you haven't shifted. My throat tightened. I don't care that your chair was empty. Heat stung my eyes. I care that you're mine. My heartbeat shattered into 1,000 pieces. No one, he said firmly, eyes on Selene, mocks my queen. Selene stumbled back, jaw slack, her followers silent in horror. Queen. My mind blanked. Did he say, queen? Kaelan straightened, still holding my hand. He rose from his chair, and the entire hall gasped. Alice of Silvercrest, he declared, voice ringing through the ballroom, is my fated mate. Silence. Then, chaos. Voices burst into screams, gasps, uproar. Wolves argued, shouted, demanded explanations. Finn pushed through the crowd, breathless. Alice, are you serious? Is this, he never finished. Because Kaelan looked at him and Finn dropped to his knees involuntarily. Stand, Kaelan commanded. And Finn could. Not because Kaelan forced him. But because Kaelan allowed him. Kaelan's dominance was not a rumor. It was real. Undeniable. He looked down at me again, silver eyes softening. You don't have to accept me tonight, he said quietly. But make no mistake. He brushed a loose strand of hair behind my ear with surprising tenderness. I will court you. I will earn you. I will shatter anyone who tries to hurt you. My heart slammed against my ribs. I don't understand, I whispered. Why me? His answer was simple. Because my wolf only kneels for one. He lowered his forehead to mine. And it's you. My entire world shifted. Not because a king sat beside me. But because, for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like the girl with the empty chair. I felt chosen. I felt seen. And for the first time, I felt like maybe I wasn't broken. My world fractured the moment Kaelan's forehead touched mine. Not outwardly, nothing dramatic like shattered glass or thunder splitting the sky. But inside me, everything cracked, everything rearranged, and everything felt terrifyingly, impossibly real. The laughter, the whispers, the music of the moon ceremony, all of it disappeared beneath a single thought. The Alpha King thinks I'm his mate. Kaelan pulled back slowly, his silver eyes searching my face with something intense, something fierce. A kind of reverence I didn't recognize. Not directed at me. Not ever. Wolves across the ballroom stared like I'd sprouted wings and declared myself an archangel. Selene looked as if her entire identity had just been slapped across the floor. Her lips parted, trembling, disbelief morphing to fury. This must be a mistake, she snapped, voice shaking. A king cannot choose a wolfless girl. Kaelan turned his head toward her. He didn't growl. He didn't show wolf eyes. He just looked at her. And Selene staggered back like she'd been struck. Mind your tongue, he said quietly. But the words held power. The kind of power that didn't need volume. Every wolf felt the weight of it. Finn finally made his way through the crowd, chest heaving, eyes wide with panic and disbelief. Alice, are you okay? Did he force something on you? Kaelan angled his head toward Finn. I would never force her. For the first time, his tone held something gentle. Not dominance. Not authority. Promise. But the world didn't care about promises. Not yet. A council elder slammed his cane into the marble floor. The sound echoed like a hammer striking the inside of my ribs. This is irregular, Elder Garrick announced. His gray beard trembled with indignation. The girl is unshifted. Unmated wolves must complete the ceremony. The bond must be proven. Selene latched onto the words like a lifeline. Yes, exactly. There are traditions, rules. A king is not above them. Kaelan shifted in his seat beside me. He didn't posture, didn't raise his voice. He simply sat with the posture of inevitability. I am not above tradition, he said. But neither will I pretend I did not feel. The bond. A murmur rippled across the hall. Bond, bond, bond. The word passed through the crowd like electricity. Finn stepped between me and the elder, protective instinct blazing in his eyes. Prove what, exactly? He challenged. That my sister is worth something only if a man chooses her? If a wolf chooses her? If your traditions approve of her existence? I blinked. Finn had always defended me. But never like this. Kaelan's gaze flicked to him, not in warning, not in challenge. In acknowledgement. You defend her well, Kaelan said. Finn stiffened. Someone has to. The unspoken part hung between them. Because no one else ever did. The elder raised his cane again. Enough. The bond must be tested. Kaelan's jaw flexed. The moon chooses the bond. Not you. The moon ceremony has protocols, Garrick barked. A fated mate bond must be confirmed by. Kaelan stood. The entire room silenced. Do you question the moon goddess? The king asked softly, or just her choice? The elder paled. Kaelan extended a hand to me. Not commanding, not assuming, offering. Laurel, the wolf inside me, stirred faintly. For the first time in months, her voice brushed my mind. Touch him. I swallowed hard, my pulse racing. Not because of dominance, because of the possibility. If I took his hand, if the mate bond was real, everyone would feel it, and if I didn't, the humiliation would be worse than anything Celine ever imagined. My palm hovered inches from his. Finn touched my shoulder. You don't owe anyone proof. His voice was steady, but his eyes pleaded. Please don't get hurt. I looked at Kaelan, the Alpha King, the Prince of Wolves, the man who believed fate tied us together. He didn't rush me. He didn't push. He just watched like the world held its breath. Alice, he said quietly, choose only if you want to. That sentence hit harder than any claim. For 19 years, everyone else decided what I was allowed to want. For the first time, someone gave the choice to me. So I placed my hand in his. The moment skin met skin, fire. A rush of heat shot up my arm, bright and startling, like lightning wrapped in warmth. The room gasped. Someone dropped their drink. Celine's shriek cut through the confusion. She's faking it, but the reaction wasn't mine. It was everyone else's. Our bond unleashed pressure, rolling outward like a wave, shimmering, electric, undeniable. My ears rang with it. Wolves stumbled back, clutching their chests. I felt Kaelan's wolf brush against mine, strong, proud, and shockingly gentle. Mine. The word thrummed not in my ears, but in my soul. Laurel, my wolf, answered. Yours. She spoke. She spoke. Emotion surged through me so fast I swayed on my feet. Kaelan's hands caught my shoulder. Steadying me. You felt her, I whispered, stunned. Laurel spoke. His eyes warmed. I told you she was there. Celine let out a strangled sob of disbelief. No, no, this is wrong. She can't be, she's nothing. Kaelan's head turned sharply. Celine froze mid-sentence. Not because of a growl. Not because of a glare. Because of power. An invisible authority pressed the air down, just enough to silence her. You will not insult my mate again, he said. It wasn't a threat. It was law. Someone from Celine's pack cleared his throat nervously. Your Majesty, what happens now? Will the girl go with you? The girl. Not Alice. Not a person. Just a question mark. I swallowed, heart hammering. Would I leave my home? My brother? My entire world? Kaelan looked at me instead of answering them. He always looked at me first. Alice, he said, do you want to stay tonight with your pack, or leave with me now? My throat tightened. Everyone stared. Celine's face contorted, desperate for a reason to still matter. She can't leave. She hasn't shifted. She hasn't proven she's even. Kaelan didn't spare her a glance. You don't get to speak on her future. He held my hand again, fingers warm, grounding, patient. Finn stepped closer. Alice, you don't have to decide tonight. Kaelan nodded. He's right. Every wolf in the room looked between the king and my brother. It should have been a power struggle. But it wasn't. They stood on the same side. My side. Kaelan spoke quietly, only to me. You will not be caged. You will not be rushed. I want you to choose freely. The hall erupted again, shock, disbelief, gossip spilling like wildfire. Celine shook, voice trembling with unspoken rage. You'll regret this, she hissed under her breath. I turned toward her slowly. For the first time in years, I didn't feel small. I already regret letting you speak. Kaelan covered his mouth to hide a smirk. Finn didn't bother hiding his laugh. Celine went red. There will be consequences for you, she spat. No, Kaelan corrected. There will be consequences for anyone who tries to harm her. Celine paled. Finn exhaled a shaky breath and leaned close to my ear. I don't trust him. His voice was low. But I trust that he means what he says about protecting you. I squeezed Finn's fingers once, silent promise. Kaelan waited. Not as a king. Not as an alpha. As a man. Alice, he said, voice gentle but sure, do you want to leave with me? All eyes were on me. My voice came out barely louder than a whisper. I want time. Kaelan nodded, expression softening into something that looked like pride. As you wish. The words weren't submission. They were devotion. He released my hand slowly, reverently. As long as you are her. He said, no one will touch you. No one will mock you. Not anymore. And for the first time in 19 years, I believed it. I did not expect Kaelan to escort me personally. After what happened in the corridor, with Celine's poison disguised as elegance and Finn's protective fury pulsing in his stance, I assumed the Alpha King would disappear again, swallowed by duties and politics and a throne I still couldn't imagine beside me. Instead, Kaelan walked ahead of us through the dark hall, the faint torchlight brushing over his shoulders like a silent cloak of dominance. Finn walked slightly behind me, still bristling with the instinct to shield, but not saying a word. No one dared speak when Kaelan moved like that, silent, deadly, absolute. The castle corridors stretched long, built from ancient stone that smelled faintly of cedar and rain. Paintings of past rulers hung tall and intimidating along the walls. Wolves with gold-threaded eyes stared down from tapestries. The floors were polished with something so dark and reflective that each of our steps left a ghostly echo behind us. Kaelan didn't look back. He didn't have to. I felt him, like gravity. We reached a large double door carved with a sigil of a crescent moon and a wolf bowing its head beneath it. His sigil. Kaelan opened the door, but instead of stepping inside, he moved to the side, waiting. For me. Not commanding. Just waiting. Enter. His voice was low enough that I felt it in my spine. Finn stopped halfway through the doorway, his protective instinct crackling like electricity. I'm not leaving her alone with you yet, he muttered. It was not a challenge. It was a warning. Kaelan slowly turned his head. Finn didn't flinch, but I felt him tense. She is not in danger from me, Kaelan said, voice calm. You are the danger, Finn hissed. For a moment, only a small one, I thought Kaelan would snap. Instead, he nodded once. Stay, he said. Watch. If it eases your mind. Finn stiffened, shocked by the permission. I walked in, heart pounding as the door closed with a click behind us. The Alpha King's chambers were nothing like I expected. I thought they would be impersonal and grand, filled with cold marble and trophies of dominance. They were not. The room was large, yes, but warm, lit by slow-burning sconces and a fireplace built directly into the wall. The flames glowed orange and gold, like captured sunlight. The scent of amber resin and fresh pine rolled through the air. It reminded me of something deeply nostalgic, like a memory I could almost touch. Bookshelves lined the walls, not polished, not decorative, used, worn. A round table held a map with carved tokens pinned to different kingdoms. The surface was scratched with dates, circles, and scribbled N. Oats. A wolf pelt lay near the hearth, silver fur shimmering under the flames. Not a hunted wolf, this felt ceremonial, honored. And at the far edge of the room, against the large window that overlooked the moonlit forest, stood a bed. Huge, dark wood carved with symbols I didn't recognize. I stopped in the middle of the room, unsure what to do with my hands or my thoughts or my entire existence. I was standing in the private chambers of the Alpha King. The moon's chosen, my mate, yet my entire body felt like cracked glass. Kaelan spoke first. You are trembling. Heat flooded my cheeks. My hands were shaking, and I hadn't even noticed. I'm not used to any of this, I whispered. Finn snorted softly. She's not used to people acknowledging her existence, let alone calling her mine. Kaelan didn't raise his voice, yet the word hit like a strike. Finn flinched. I couldn't breathe. There was nothing possessive in Kaelan's expression. No arrogance. Just certainty. As though the word had existed before the world did. He walked past me, removing his cloak and hanging it near the hearth. The heat from the fire made the room feel both intimate and terrifying. I don't expect trust, Kaelan said without turning around. I only expect truth. I didn't know how to respond. How do you feel? The directness of the question nearly knocked me backward. No one had ever asked me that. Not at home. Not at the ceremony. Not ever. Feelings were a luxury for girls who mattered. I don't know, I whispered. Overwhelmed and confused. Mostly confused. Finn's voice softened behind me. She's had too much pressure tonight. But Kaelan wasn't looking at Finn. He watched me like he was reading something written under my skin. You still think you are not worthy of being chosen? It wasn't a question. I swallowed. I don't know why you did choose me, I admitted. There were dozens of girls who wanted. I was not looking for a girl who wanted a crown. Kaelan stepped closer, stopping just near enough that I felt the warm brush of his aura against my skin. It was powerful, ancient, something that held thunder and silence in the same breath. I was looking for the one who was mine. My heart thundered. I forced myself to hold his gaze. What if you're wrong? I am never wrong, he said calmly. About fate. The firelight flickered, casting gold in his eyes. And the moon never lies. Finn stepped forward, unable to hold back any longer. You think fate gives you the right to claim her without asking? She is not a prophecy. She is a person. Kaelan's eyes shifted toward him. You are protective of her. I raised her, Finn shot back. Our pack threw her aside. I didn't. Like a shadow crossing water, something softened in Kaelan's expression. You care for her, he said quietly. Good. Finn blinked, stunned by the lack of hostility. Kaelan lifted his hand, palm open, without touching me. Alice, he said gently. You can walk away from me tonight if you choose. If you decide tomorrow that you want to reject the bond, I will let you walk. My heart squeezed. But I need you to understand one thing. Kaelan lowered his hand. No one mocks you without consequence. Silence. Heavy. Unreal. You defended me with your power, I whispered. No. His voice was low. I defended what is sacred. Something broke in me then. A crack. A fissure. A piece of loneliness I'd been holding for years shifted, unable to stay intact. Kaelan turned away, giving me space. You should rest, he said softly. Both of you. Sleep. My thoughts were too wired for that. Every fiber of me hummed like a struck string. Finn followed me to a smaller adjoining chamber, likely a guard room, but Kaelan stopped him at the threshold. She sleeps here. Finn bristled. I said I'm not with me, Kaelan clarified. But in my protection. The room is attached to mine. There are guards outside. None will approach her. Finn exhaled slowly, tension bleeding from his shoulders. And me? You may stay, Kaelan allowed. I will not separate you from her. Finn's jaw relaxed, and he nodded once. Kaelan didn't claim me physically. He claimed responsibility. And somehow, that was scarier. The adjoining room was warm, with a small bed, a fur blanket, and a window overlooking the forest. Finn walked through first, checking every corner like someone expecting danger. I stood in the doorway. Are you afraid of him? I asked softly. Finn shook his head. I'm afraid of what being tied to him will do to you, he admitted. Power comes with cost. I've seen that cost crush people stronger than you. It wasn't an insult. Just truth. I can handle myself, I whispered. I know you can, Finn said. But not everything can be handled alone. He reached out and pulled me into a tight hug. For a moment, his heartbeat was an anchor. A reminder of before, when our world was only fear and survival and stolen moments of sibling defiance. You're not alone, he murmured. Not while I'm here. I rested my forehead against his shoulder. Stay? I asked. Always. We stood there for a long moment until Kaelan's voice broke the quiet. Finn. Finn looked up sharply. Kaelan stood in the doorway, not entering the room, but present enough to fill it. You may rest as well. I will keep watch. Finn stepped back, suspicious. Keep watch? Why would you need to? Kaelan's gaze darkened. Celine will not accept defeat. Not tonight. My blood ran cold. And neither will those who wanted her a queen. Kaelan took his place at the outer room's entrance, settling into a chair beside the door. Not lounging, not relaxing, guarding, watching the hallway. His entire body was still, carved from patience and threat. His hands rested loosely on the armrests, but his posture hummed with command. The Alpha King, keeping watch outside my door. A king guarding a girl who never mattered. I lay down on the bed but kept my eyes open, staring at the wooden ceiling beams. Finn lay on a small cot near the wall, drifting quickly into exhausted sleep. I could not sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Celine's smile. Sharp. Promise of war hidden behind beauty. Kaelan's voice echoed across my mind, she will never be tossed aside. My chest tightened. No one had ever said that about me. Not once. Not even I believed it. An hour passed. Or maybe 3. The fire crackled softly from the main chamber. Wind whispered against the window panes. Somewhere in the castle, a bell tolled the hour. Every sound felt too loud for sleep. I eventually stood, quietly leaving the bed, careful not to wake Finn. The door between our rooms was open just a fraction. I pushed it quietly. Kaelan was still there, unmoving, unblinking, watchful. The moonlight slanted across him through the tall windows, outlining his shoulders with silver light. His jaw was sharp in the glow, his eyes distant but alert. He sensed me before I made a sound. You are not resting. His voice was barely above a whisper, deep and intently focused. I stepped closer, barefoot on cool stone. I can't, I admitted. Kaelan shifted his gaze toward me. Come here. It wasn't an order, just an invitation. I walked until we were near, separated only by the chair and the space between what we were and what fate wanted us to become. You are safe, he said. No place has ever been safe for me. He tilted his head, regarding me. Not even with your own pack? My throat tightened. My pack didn't see me, I whispered. They treated me like background noise. Or a broken thing they didn't know what to do with. Kaelan leaned forward slightly. Look at me. The intensity in his voice pulled my chin up. You are not broken, he said. They were blind. I swallowed thickly. No one ever defended me like that. No one ever should have had to. His words were simple, yet something inside me splintered because of them. I sank to my knees, resting lightly against the arm of his chair, not touching, just existing near enough to feel warmth from him. I'm afraid, I admitted quietly. His voice lowered. Of me? Of what this means, I whispered. Being chosen. Being seen. Being wanted. Kaelan didn't touch me, but his voice anchored me. You think power brings danger. Doesn't it? Yes, he said simply. But so does being powerless. He exhaled slowly. I grew up surrounded by wolves who would kill for the throne. I never wanted a queen who was hungry for power. I wanted a mate who understood something they do not. What's that? That strength isn't dominance. It's endurance. The words sank into me like warmth. You endured, Kaelan continued. With no wolf. With no power. With no one fighting for you. He stood from the chair. I froze. He stopped directly in front of me, the firelight painting his silhouette in gold and shadow. You did not break, he said softly. You survived. Then, so slowly I barely felt it, he brushed a strand of hair behind my ear, not a possessive touch. Not hungry, just gentle. I am honored to be chosen by someone that's strong. The breath left my body in a trembling exhale. Kaelan stepped back, as though giving me space to breathe. Try to sleep again, he murmured. I will still be here. I stared up at him. You promise? His gaze softened. I swear it, he said quietly. By the moon that binds us. He returned to his place. And this time, when I lay down again, I did sleep. Not because I was safe. But because someone finally stayed. I woke before the sun. Not gently. Not peacefully. I woke the way someone wakes who has learned to listen for danger first, breath second. There were no threats, no footsteps, no whispers from Celine leaking through the walls like venom. Just silence and the soft crackle of a dying fire in the main room. For a moment, I didn't move. I simply stared at the ceiling beams above me and let my mind catch up to where my body lay. I was inside the Alpha King's chambers. The thought formed slowly, impossibly. Not forgotten, not discarded, chosen. The blanket felt heavier than yesterday, not from weight but from meaning. The air was warm, smelling faintly of pine and smoke, wrapping around me like protection I didn't remember ever receiving before. Finn's soft breathing came from somewhere behind me, steady, protective. Even asleep, he was always half alert. A chair creaked slowly, the sound small but present. Kaelan. He was still there, still guarding the threshold like the night had not ended. Still staying. I pushed myself up quietly, feet brushing the cool stone floor. I hesitated, listening for any sign that I would be interrupting something important. When nothing came, I padded to the open doorway connecting our small room to his. He sat exactly where I last saw him, back straight, gaze fixed toward the hallway beyond his chambers. One arm rested casually along the armrest, but every line in his body was tension wrapped in restraint. He did not sleep. I wondered if he ever did. He spoke without turning. "You rise early." My breath caught. "How did you know?" His voice was quiet, but it held a kind of certainty I could feel. "I always know when my mate wakes." The word still felt unreal. Mate, a title I never believed belonged to me. A destiny I never dreamed could be directed at a girl who had spent her entire life unnoticed. "I didn't wake you, did I?" "You didn't." His head shifted a fraction. "You walk lightly." "I've had practice," I answered. His gaze lowered to my bare feet, then returned to the empty corridor ahead. I noticed. I didn't know how to respond to that. Kaelan finally turned his head, just enough that I could see one eye, midnight blue with streaks of silver where the moonlight caught. "You could have slept longer." "I don't know how to rest when my world keeps shifting." "You did," he said quietly. "Last night." Heat crawled into my cheeks. "You stayed." "Yes." "Why?" "Because you finally slept." I blinked once. The simplicity of the words settled inside me like something too tender to hold. Kaelan rose from the chair with a fluid motion that made even the air in the room feel reverent. He moved toward the fireplace, stirring the dying embers with a metal poker. His hair was slightly mussed, falling over his forehead the slightest bit. The Alpha King looked human. Not untouchable, not mythical, just a man who had guarded a girl until dawn. When the fire caught again, warming the space, he placed the poker back into its stand and turned toward me. "Come." I hesitated. "Where?" "To see your new home," he said simply. "My new home." The words unsettled me, not in fear, but in the way that people long starving are unsettled by food. "Finn," I began. "He may come," Kaelan replied without irritation. "Both of you should know the grounds." Finn groaned behind me, waking at the sound of his name. I turned as he sat up, rubbing sleep from his eyes. "Already?" he mumbled. "The sun's not even." Kaelan opened the balcony curtains. Light poured in, soft and gold. Finn squinted. "Never mind." Kaelan regarded him with steady calm. "She should see the castle today. And understand where danger may come from." "Danger?" A cold ripple slid down my spine. "From Celine?" I asked. He didn't confirm. He didn't need to. "Dress," Kaelan said. "I'll wait outside." He left without another word, closing the door behind him. Once he was gone, Finn exhaled hard and slumped into a sitting position. "He does realize we're not soldiers, right?" he muttered. "Or morning people?" I gave him a small smile. "You can stay here." Finn shook his head. "No chance. You're not wandering that fortress without me." He crossed his arms, expression firm. "Until I'm sure he isn't manipulating you, I'm your shadow." A part of me bristled at the idea that I needed protection from Kaelan. Another part whispered that Finn was right, power wasn't always safety. But Kaelan had stayed. Had Celine done the same, all power and beauty as she was? No. Finn finally found clothing folded neatly on a trunk near the wall, simple fabrics, clearly placed there intentionally. "For us?" he asked. "I guess. Do you know what that means?" Finn said, jaw tightening. "That someone thought ahead?" "That someone," Finn said, "plans to keep us." My chest tightened. Not trapped. Not caged. Kept. Once we were dressed, I stepped into the hallway. Kaelan stood exactly where he said he'd be. His cloak was fastened, his boots laced, his posture straight. Kings weren't supposed to wait. Yet he waited. For me. "Ready?" he asked. "No," I admitted, "but I'm here." That was enough for him. We walked. The castle was nothing like my old pack house. Where mine was cramped and weathered with leaky roofs and peeling paint, this place was built of history and intention. Long stone corridors stretched ahead, lined with torches. High arched windows let early morning light spill across the floors like rivers of gold. Every wall was carved with symbols, moons, wolves, constellations I couldn't name. Kaelan walked a step beside me, not ahead. As though I was an equal. Our first stop brought us to a balcony overlooking an enormous courtyard. "Training grounds." Dozens of warriors already moved in synchronized patterns, bare-chested, muscles taut with sweat and discipline. Metal clashed against metal, echoing through the air. Others shifted into wolves mid-motion, fur bristling, paws striking the ground with thunderous rhythm. My breath caught. They were magnificent, dangerous, alive. Finn leaned against the railing and whistled low. Your mate's pack doesn't mess around. Kaelan's gaze never left me. Strength protects the kingdom, he said. But strength also intimidates those who believe they are powerful. I swallowed. You mean Celine? A muscle in his jaw tightened. She has influence among the elite. Some wanted her as Luna for political gain. You threaten that. I threaten nothing, I whispered. You exist, Kaelan corrected. And that is enough to shift power. My hands gripped the stone railing. What if I don't want power? Power isn't something you want, he said softly. It's something others react to. A warrior below shifted too close to another, and a clash broke formation. Kaelan's voice filled the air. Hold formation. He didn't yell. He didn't need to. Absolute obedience snapped through the courtyard. Every wolf froze. Every soldier stood straighter. That was command, not fear. Authority born from earned respect. Kaelan turned back to me. This is your kingdom as Mu. CH is mine. A wave of disbelief hit me so hard it stole my breath. My kingdom? I echoed. I'm not anything. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. You are mine. Something inside me trembled, not fear, not possession, but the echo of belonging. Finn pretended to study the warriors, giving us space. Kaelan turned away and continued walking. We followed. The next corridor was quieter, lined with towering windows overlooking the northern forest. Sunlight spilled across the stone, and dust particles danced in it like tiny stars. I slowed. The view was breathtaking. Trees stretched endlessly, mist curling around their roots. I pressed a hand against the glass, palm warming where the sunrise touched. It feels alive, I whispered. It is. Kaelan leaned beside me, gaze on the horizon. The forest is bound to the monarchy. It senses the ruler's emotions. When I am calm, the forest is steady. When I am angry, storms rise. And when you're, my voice broke off, unsure. When I am near you, he finished. I nodded. He held my gaze. The forest behaves strangely. How? I hear it whisper. Whisper? Before I could ask, Finn's urgent call broke our focus. Alice. I turned. He stood at a door slightly ajar, one Kaelan hadn't pointed out. Finn's face was tight, expression uneasy. There's something inside, he said quietly. Kaelan's attention sharpened instantly. He moved toward Finn, pushing the door open fully. The room beyond was small, circular, enclosed entirely by stone and shadow. In the center sat a pedestal, and on that pedestal lay a crystal orb. Veins of silver shimmered beneath its surface, pulsing like a heartbeat. Kaelan's expression shifted. A prophecy chamber. I inhaled sharply. The air inside was colder, thinner. Something ancient pulsed in that room. What's a prophecy chamber? I whispered. Finn took a step back. We shouldn't be in here. Kaelan didn't look away from the orb. Only the royal bloodline can enter. The orb records future visions. No one. His voice stopped abruptly. This one is active. The orb glowed. Not softly. Violently. Silver ruptured into streaks of white, swirling like a trapped storm. A whisper slithered through the room, thin and melodic. The throne will belong to the one who breaks the pattern. Kaelan stiffened. Finn grabbed my wrist. Alice, we should go. But the voice grew louder. She will come from silence. She will not carry a wolf. And yet the wolves will kneel. My lungs froze. Kaelan turned to me sharply. The orb is speaking of you. No, I breathed. It can't. The orb pulsed again, brighter than before. This time, the whisper wasn't vague. It was a name. Alice. The world dropped. Finn pulled harder. We're leaving. Kaelan didn't move. He read at the orb as though it confirmed something long suspected. The prophecy shifted, becoming sharp as ice. The one without a wolf will rule the wolves. But her rise will bring blood. The light exploded. Kaelan shielded me with his body as the orb burst into blinding silver. When the light finally died, the pedestal was empty. The orb was gone. We stood in silence. Finn's voice trembled with fury. Tell me that isn't what it sounded like. Kaelan faced me, eyes burning with clarity. It means you are not just my mate, he said quietly. You are fate's choice. I stumbled back. No, I'm not. I can't be. You are the one the moon chose, Kaelan said. The prophecy confirms it. My heart pounded so hard I felt it in my throat. But I don't have a wolf, I whispered. How can someone like me lead anything? Kaelan moved toward me, slow, deliberate. I don't need a prophecy to know your worth. But others will. The words hit harder than truth should. He reached out, not touching, just holding his palm near my cheek. Whatever comes, Kaelan said, I stand with you. I wanted to believe him. But prophecies destroy kingdoms, and the forest outside the window suddenly stirred with a rising wind. As if something ancient had awakened. And it had whispered my name. The moon was high when the council finally dispersed. Warriors spilled out of the hall in tense silence, exchanging looks anchored by dread rather than hope. The scent of burning torches clung to my skin as I slipped through the corridor. Every step echoed against stone walls, a reminder that this place, this kingdom, was built for warriors, not someone like me. A faint vibration lingered on my lips from Kaelan's kiss. A kiss I still wasn't sure I understood. He kissed me like I was his future. And then he walked away to plan a war. My footsteps slowed when I reached the balcony just outside the grand hall. The night air was cool, laced with pine, clean earth, and distant rain. Below, the training yard was quiet, shadows stretching across the stone like dark veins. I don't belong here, I whispered to the empty night. The truth tasted bitter. I was an omega in my old pack. Invisible, unwanted, a nobody. Now I stood in the heart of the most powerful kingdom, tied by fate to a man who ruled with a single command. Kaelan was strength, authority, danger, and yet, his eyes softened when they found mine. Too soft for someone like him. Too soft for someone like me. Clank. A sound jolted me. I whirled toward the staircase. Heavy footsteps approached, echoing with purpose, as if the stone itself knew who walked it. Kaelan. He stepped into the moonlight, shadows carving the sharp lines of his jaw and cheekbones. His presence filled the corridor like an avalanche, silent, powerful, unstoppable. His eyes found me instantly, as if he'd always known where I'd be. You slipped away. I swallowed. I needed air. He walked toward me, not rushed, not hesitant. Purposeful. Each step held weight and claim. His shirt was undone at the collar, sleeves rolled up, veins visible on his forearms. Despite the tension from the council, he moved with lethal confidence. You shouldn't wander alone here. Not tonight. I straightened my shoulders. I'm not made of glass. I know you aren't, Kaelan said quietly. But that doesn't mean I want you out of my sight. My heart betrayed me, stuttering, stumbling. Because I'm fragile, or because I'm your political problem now? His jaw clenched, expression darkening. You aren't a problem. You're my priority. Silence crashed between us like a wave. He stood beside me at the railing, our shoulders almost touching. The distance was small, but it felt monumental. You heard the council, he murmured. 2 nights. Then the blood moon pack attacks. And if you lose, I don't lose. It wasn't arrogance. It was a truth he had lived his whole life. Still, my voice trembled. They're coming because of me. No, Kaelan said, his gaze cutting sharp. They're coming because Alpha Rylan wants power. You are simply the excuse he clings to. But Celine, his hand gripped the railing. Hard. Celine wants status, not me. He turned slightly, his body angled toward mine. You are not responsible for another's greed, Alice. I swallowed hard. Then what am I responsible for? He inhaled, a breath that seemed to drag the world with it. You are responsible for surviving. For choosing yourself. For not shrinking. My voice felt small. I'm not like your warriors. You aren't supposed to be. The air shifted. His fingers brushed my cheek, light, searching, like he needed to memorize the shape of me. My breath caught. He was too close, too intense. Too dangerous. You carry your strength differently, he whispered. Where others shout, you endure. Where others break, you bend. His thumb traced my jaw. Slow. Intentional. And his voice dropped lower. I would burn kingdoms for you. My heartbeat stalled. You don't even know me, I whispered. I know enough. His gaze held mine captive. I know you didn't look away when they mocked you. I know you still sit with kindness when you should be hardening. I know your fear does not stop your courage. I had no words. None. He leaned closer, breath warm against my ear. And I know that every instinct in me pulls toward you. My throat tightened. Kaelan, say my name like that again, he murmured. My cheeks burned with heat. He enjoyed this, my reactions, my uncertainty, my breath catching in my throat. He also knew he caused it. It's late, I said, tearing my gaze away. I should. Kaelan's hand wrapped gently around my wrist. Not forceful, not possessive, just enough to stop me. There is something I need to show you. He led me down a staircase carved into stone. The deeper we walked, the cooler the air became. My pulse quickened, not in fear, but in anticipation. A heavy iron door blocked the end of the corridor. Kaelan placed his palm on the surface. The metal glowed faintly under his touch. The door opened. Inside was a chamber lit by dozens of floating crystal lanterns. The room was circular, the floor engraved with ancient runes that pulsed faintly like a heartbeat. What is this place? I whispered. He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he walked to the center, motioning silently for me to join him. I stepped onto the runes, and warmth surged beneath my feet, alive, humming. It recognizes you, Kaelan murmured. My pulse thudded. Recognizes me? You are not ordinary, Alice. My mate bond doesn't make me special. This room does not answer to mates, Kaelan said quietly. It answers to power. My breath lodged in my throat. Alice, he continued, voice low and reverent, this chamber is the heart of the realm. It reveals hidden strength. Only those born of the old bloodlines can awaken it. I don't have, yes. He stepped closer, his hand finding mine. You do. I stared at our joined hands. His warmth anchored me. His presence steadied me, but my disbelief cracked through my voice. I'm not powerful. He tilted my chin up gently. Power is rarely obvious from the outside. The runes beneath us flared brighter, white and gold. I staggered. Kaelan, what's happening? He didn't release me. His voice held steady, grounding me. You are awakening. No, I don't want. Magic rippled through the chamber, heat swirling from my chest to my fingertips. My knees buckled and Kaelan caught me, pulling me against him. Tighten your hold, he murmured. Don't run from it. The power surged again, unstoppable, wild, spiraling. Images flashed behind my eyes, a wolf's howl. Silver light, a luna's crown. My voice broke. Kaelan, I'm scared. He held my face between his palms, forcing me to meet his eyes. You don't have to be. You don't understand, people like me don't get chosen. His voice dropped to a vow. I chose you. The runes blazed so bright I squeezed my eyes shut. The glow intensified until the air trembled. Then, silence. Just Kaelan's arms around me. His heartbeat steady under my ear. My breathing shaky and uneven. I lifted my head slowly. What happened? His fingers slid along my cheek, gentle as a whisper. Your power responded to mine. What does that mean? That you are not just my mate. His voice was reverent. You are born for the crown. My heart stopped. No, I breathed. Kaelan, please, don't say that. Why? He asked softly. Because I don't know how to be what you need. He leaned his forehead against mine. You only need to be yourself. His voice wasn't demanding. It was tender, steady, unshakable. My eyes burned with tears I refused to let fall. I don't know how to be strong like this. You already are. His hand slid into my hair, tipping my face up. His lips hovered over mine, close, so close, but he didn't touch. Not yet. Not until I chose it. Say it, he whispered. Say you'll stay. 3 words. They held more weight than a war. My breath trembled. I don't want to run anymore. His lips finally met mine. Slow, intense, a kiss like a vow. The world disappeared, ruined floors, stolen destiny, looming threat. All that remained was him, his heat consuming, his touch grounding. Kaelan pulled back just enough to breathe against my lips. You are mine. I swallowed, voice breaking. And you are mine. His smile was dark and soft at once. Then let them come. He wrapped me against him, shielding me from ghosts of fear I hadn't voiced aloud. Because this time, Kaelan murmured into my hair, you won't face the world alone. I closed my eyes, and let myself believe him. The castle was too quiet. Not peaceful, never peaceful, but the sharp, suffocating kind of quiet that presses against the ribs and warns of something coming. My footsteps echoed down the corridor, each one louder than the last. The light from the torches flickered along the stone walls like restless spirits. War hovered somewhere just beyond the horizon. 2 days had passed since the heart of the realm awakened under my feet. 2 days since Kaelan told me I was born for the crown. 2 days since the entire kingdom shifted beneath us. Training grounds were crowded from dawn until moonrise. Warriors sharpened blades until metal screamed against stone. The air outside was thick with the scent of sweat, steel, and the tension only desperation could bring. Inside the castle, everything felt still. But inside me, nothing was still. The chamber with the runes had changed me. Not in some dramatic, physical way, no glowing tattoos, no sudden wings of light. Just a hum beneath my skin. A soft vibration between my ribs, like the rhythm of a song I hadn't learned yet. Power. Mine. I placed a palm over my heart. The warmth was there again, steady, waiting. Waiting to be claimed. Your posture is different now. I didn't need to turn to recognize the voice. Kaelan stepped out from the shadows like he'd been there the entire time, watching. His presence wrapped around me like velvet and iron, soft yet unbreakable. He didn't try to hide the way his eyes swept me, memorizing every detail. Is that a warning? I asked, attempting lightness. No. His voice was low. It's distracting. My breath caught. He wore all black today, fitted shirt, loose sleeves rolled just below the elbow, exposing strong forearms marked with faint, ancient sigils. A black leather brace wrapped around his left wrist. The faint metallic scent of weapon oil clung to him. And something else. Possessiveness. I didn't sleep, he admitted quietly. Because of the battle? I asked. His jaw flexed. Because of you. He stepped closer, slow, deliberate, as if approaching a forest creature likely to bolt. I thought you needed space, I muttered, trying not to step back. I don't need space, he said. I need honesty. His voice was a low promise that made my pulse jump. You're afraid, Kaelan murmured. I swallowed. You're not? No, he answered without hesitation. Fear belongs to those with something to lose. I have already lost before. His words struck something deep. Who? He blinked once, slow. My mother. Pain etched briefly into his expression, fierce and unguarded. She died protecting the one she loved, he continued. My father. She faced death without blinking, but she regretted only one thing. What? She never told him she loved him. She assumed there would be more time. The confession made my throat tighten. I won't repeat their mistake, he breathed. Not with you. My heart stuttered. He continued before I could speak. When the heart of the realm responded to your presence, everything inside me, wolf, instinct, destiny, aligned. You think the bond is enough to build a life on? No. His hand gently slid down my arm, stopping at my wrist. But I think you are. My breath wavered. Kaelan, say you trust me. I opened my mouth, but a thunderous sound shook the castle. Boom. My blood froze. That wasn't thunder. It was an impact. Kaelan's head snapped toward the nearest window. His eyes shifted, glowing, primal gold. They're early, he growled. Another blast rattled the castle. Torches flickered violently. Screams echoed from the lower courtyard. Kaelan grabbed my hand. Stay behind me. But the moment we reached the balcony overlooking the training yard, everything inside me shattered. The Bloodmoon Pack had breached the walls. Chaos exploded below. Warriors collided in brutal combat. Wolves in midnight and ash-green fur tore into each other. Sparks flew as metal blades clashed. Screams pierced the air, rage, pain, terror. Celine stood near the courtyard entrance, wrapped in a crimson coat like spilled blood. Her lips curled when she spotted me. Little Omega, she called out, voice sharp with venom. Come down. It's time to finish what your existence started. Psalm. Everything inside me snapped. Kaelan moved to leap over the balcony, shifting midair. Instinct took over. My hand shot forward. Stop. Runes, silver, gold, white, eruption of light shot from my palm, exploding like a shockwave. It rippled across the courtyard, lifting dust, pushing bodies back. Silence fell. Every warrior, every wolf, froze. Celine's eyes went wide. What are you? She whispered. Kaelan looked at me like I had just rewritten the laws of the world. My voice was steady. I'm done being powerless. Celine snarled, shifting. Her wolf was huge, black fur, red eyes, teeth dripping rage. She lunged straight toward me. Kaelan moved to intercept. No, I said, my voice unshakably calm. She's mine. I didn't shift. I didn't need to. I stepped off the balcony. Power, mine, caught me before I hit the ground. My feet touched stone like mist and moonlight. Selene, charge. I lifted my hand. The runes surged. A wall of shimmering force slammed Selene into the ground. She yelped, trapped under the weight of magic she couldn't break. Guests rippled through the courtyard. Kaelan landed beside me, eyes burning gold, but he didn't touch me. Didn't interrupt. He was in awe. I knelt before Selene. You mocked my empty chair, I said softly. Then Kaelan sat beside me. I leaned closer. But I don't need a king to silence you. Her wolf whimpered, pinned. I just needed to stop hiding. I stood, lifting my hand. Runes softened. Selene shifted back into her human form, trembling with shock. Kaelan moved behind me, his chest touching my back lightly, steadying me with presence alone. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. Every wolf bowed. Not to him. To me. When Kaelan finally spoke, his voice carried like thunder over the courtyard. Kneel, he ordered. Every warrior hit the ground. Kaelan turned toward me, voice dropping to something meant only for my ears. You were never the girl in the empty chair, he whispered. You were the one they were unworthy to sit beside. His fingers brushed mine, lacing them together. Alice, he murmured, Luna of the realm. Emotion burst in my chest. Not fear, not doubt, belonging. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel invisible. I felt seen. And when Kaelan leaned down and kissed me, slow, reverent, claiming and surrender all at once, the courtyard erupted with howls of victory. Not for him, for us.